Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Adanias and today we will be talking about organizing the speech. How to organize that speech and what are the elements of organizing the speech. We'll be looking at them one by one. So let's move on to the topic. First thing is the strategic organization of the speech, which is about organizing the speech to achieve particular result with particular audience. Of course, anything that you have before the speech, and you need to make sure that you must be organizing your speech in a strategic particular way. So organization comes first, and then we have another thing which is more and the most important thing, and it is about main points. A speech has to have, firstly, it should be organized, and it cannot be organized without having main points. What are main points? They're actually major points developed in the body of the speech. So moving on to preparing the main points. So when we talk about main points, they say keep main points separate from one another. They should not be mixed, or, they should not be like in a way that confuse the audience. Another point that says try to use the same pattern of wording when introducing the main point. Number 3, balance time devoted to each the point. Moving on to the next one. Now, when we talk about the organization of a speech, we have a few ways, a few tricks and ideas, or rather ways to, maintain our speech, to have main points of our speech. So how we can organize our speech, this is number one. The number one organization of the speech will be in the form of chronological order. What is chronological order? It means main points in the speech follow a time pattern. Let's have an example. This is the example of chronological order. They say building the Great Wall of China began during the Qin dynasty of 221 till 206 BC. And then they say new sections of the Great Wall were added during the Han dynasty of 206 BC from 220 AD. And then the third step, which is actually the third time period, the Great Wall was completed during the Ming dynasty of 1368 till 1644. So this is what we call chronological order, in which we explain our points through the time, through the time that things happen, from the origin of the things, time by time, period by period. And now moving on to the second way of organizing the speech points, main point of the speech, and that is spatial order. Spatial order means main points follow directional pattern. Let's have the example. Now here is the example of spatial order. Northern Italy is home to Venice and its world famous canals. Central Italy is home to Rome and its historical treasures. Southern Italy is home to Sicily and its culinary traditions. So we can now look at spatial order of the ways the points or all the main points are mentioned. First, they talk about the northern Italy, and then central Italy, and then southern Italy. That's what we call spatial order. Now, moving on to another point, which is causal order, and which means main points show cause-effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. Let's have a look at the example. So the example is the US faces a shortage of qualified air traffic controllers. This is a problem. Now, this is a cause. That's what we call. And now the effect of that is, if this shortage continues, it will create serious problems for airline safety. So we have cause and we have effect, and that's what we call causal order. Another way is problem solution order. We have a problem and then we have a solution order. So first main point, talks about the problem, and the second main point talks about the solution. Right, let's have the example. The problem solution order example is puppy mills are a serious problem across the US. Solving the problem requires legislation and individual initiative. So first we have a problem here on the top in the point number 1, and then we have the solution of the problem, and that's what we call problem solution order. Moving on to the next one, topical order. Okay, we arrange the main points and divide those main points of the topic into logical, consistent subtopics. So we have them arranged. We have the main points arranged according to the importance or the consistency of the topics. Let's have the example. So as a teacher, Ada Wells Barnett opposed inferior schools for African Americans. Number 2, as a journalist, Will Barnett campaigned against lynching. Point number 3, as a civic organization, Wells Barnett helped found NAACP. So we can see a topical order of the points. Now moving on to the next one. Now, which is the most important thing, when we have all the points organized, we need to make sure that all the points that are organized are properly given a supporting material. Materials that are used to support the speaker's idea. So whatever the ideas I have, whatever the points that I'm trying to prove, make sure that we have or I have a supporting material proof to prove whatever I'm saying. So moving on to the next one. Another important thing is connectives. Without connectives, a speech or conversation may look very dull and boring. If you talk about a speech, it may look really, really so boring and without connections. What is a connective? It's a word or phrase that connects ideas. Moving on to the next one. Types of connectives could be different ones. Transition. Number 1 type of connective is transition. Number 2 is internal preview. Number 3 is internal summary. And number 4 is signpost. All of these are called connectives, which bind the speech together or the speech points together, or which may help the audience understand the points in a much appropriate and better way. So let's have a look at what transition is. So when we talk about transition, it indicates the speaker has finished one thought and is moving to another one. Example of transition. Now that we have a clear understanding of the problem, let me share the solution. So this is what we call a solution as underlined. As the statements are underlined there, the first one and the second one. Then internal preview. So example of that would be later on. First, let's have a look what internal preview is. So statement in the body of speech indicating what speaker will discuss next. This is what we call internal preview. Have a look at the example. In discussing how Asian Americans have been stereotyped in the mass media, we will look first at the origin of the problem and second at its continuing impact today. So we see here first and we see here second, which is kind of an internal preview. Moving on to number 3, which is internal summary, which is statement in the body of speech summarizing the preceding points. All the points that have been previously mentioned or quoted by the speaker are actually recapitalized, are summarized in a very little manner. That's what we call internal summary. So let's have a look at the example. So first, we have seen that America's criminal justice system is not deterring the crime. Second, we have seen that prison rehabilitation programs are not successful. So this is what we call a summary of the words that have already been mentioned. Now we have the next one, which is almost the last one, and this is what we call brief statement. The heading is signpost, which is brief statement showing where the speaker is or focusing attention on key ideas. Like Now we understand through the signpost the speaker is what point is he talking about and what point is he focusing his attention on. Let's have a look at the example. The first cause of this problem is inefficient agricultural production. Second cause is recurrent drought in the affected countries. And the final cause is mismanagement of available food resources. So this is what we call signposts, 3 different signposts, and there could be more than that as well. They are highlighting the speaker's idea, the speaker's thought or main points. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for today. I hope it could have helped you in one way or another. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful day.